Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into this thing. All right, got my bro Chillmon on the show with me today. He's actually in person. We got him on microphone and everything. We've hit the big time here at Sports Talk J. All right, so he came up here and had lunch with me and my mom today, and we thought, what the heck, let's do a show. We've been talking back and forth about the sports and everything that's going on with the basketball team, football recruiting, baseball, all that. So we decided we'd do a little bit of talking about all of that good stuff. Wilmont, what did you think of the basketball game? Of course, with Ziegler getting hurt, that kind of really put a wet blanket on it. But the basketball team seems to be coming back to life.
Well, I think definitely getting back Triple J and Phillips played a significant role. He's going to have to step up big time now with Ziegler out. He's going to have to be one of our main guards. You know, losing Ziegler, he was our best guy at bringing the ball up the court. He was one of our best foul shooters, a really good defender, and a decent three-point shooter. So we're going to miss him in a lot of ways. But having Juwan James back and Phillips back, and hopefully maybe getting Key back too here and getting a little more playing time for him, will maybe take up that slack.
Yeah, Ziegler's sort of our inspirational leader, but yeah. I see Triple J taking over that position. Also, once Daily Plavix is pretty good as an emotional leader. He can get people fired up as well. But, yeah, it definitely hurts. But Triple J actually came in here kind of as he wasn't really a point guard. He was more of a little bit of both.
Yeah.
He can play that position. It's not his natural position because he's kind of tall for that.
Yeah.
But we've got 3 or 4 guys that can play that position. They're just not going to be as aggressive as Ziegler. Mm-hmm. And we do lose that bit of pressure that we could put on their guards because Ziegler was just a real nightmare for some of their guards. But like I say, they played really well even after he got hurt, which kind of surprised me. I thought we were going to be in trouble.
Yeah, I thought they would completely take the gas out of the team, and it did. I mean, you could tell everybody was upset. And going down with a non-contact injury and not getting up, that's never good.
It's a telltale sign.
Yeah, and when they took him off the court, I said, oh, dang, he blew out his knee, and turns out he did.
It was exactly like the Hooker injury.
It was.
Yep. It reminded me, as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, no, it's another Hendon Hooker injury.
Just sickening.
Yep. So
but anyway, next man up. So some guys are going to have to take up that slack, especially Vescovi. He's probably, well, he definitely is our best guard now. So, and certainly our best shooter when he can get open. So he's going to have to really step up.
Yeah, one thing about this, it does make us a bigger team, which is not necessarily a great thing, but we really have the length now. Now, you know, Meshack can also play that position, and Meshack is a defensive nightmare.
Oh,
I would rather go up against I'd rather go up against one of the 7-footers than I would Meshack. He is an absolute defensive fiend.
He's a beast.
He is a beast.
I have this daughter-in-law. She's just a beast. A beast is what she is.
But, yeah, he is a nightmare. He shut down Miller, the Alabama All-American, who's probably going to be the #1 pick in the draft, depending on what all happens. I'm not going to get into all that crap down there. But anyway, he shut him down, and then he shut down South Carolina's best player in both games. And, of course, we absolutely paddled South Carolina. That was – Maybe the basketball team's trying to get back at their football team a little bit with that. And we beat them by 43 and then by 40. That's not been done since the 1950s to an SEC team being beat by more than 40 at both places.
Yeah, that's an amazing record.
Yeah. So we play Auburn next. Did you folks see that game, Alabama versus Auburn last night? That was amazing.
Yep.
Auburn was up by 17 and with about 10 minutes left, and Alabama went on a 16-0 run. It was really something. And then it wound up going into overtime, and it was at Alabama. And, I mean, that crowd was going nuts. Yeah. And Bruce Pearl, I think I was worried they're going to have to get the paddles out on him because he looked like he was about to have a stroke. He was going crazy. And then that Nate Oates guy was running around like a lunatic with his arms flailing around. He looked like one of those inflatable arm guys.
Tentacle droids or whatever.
Yeah, it was nuts. That game was so entertaining. And, of course, it went over top of the Texas game that was getting ready to come up, and they had to put it in on ESPN, too, for about 10 minutes. So that was a fantastic game. Auburn needs to beat us.
Badly.
If they don't win this game, they're probably not going to get in the NCAA tournament. They only have 19 wins. Let me show you this.
Yeah.
All right, folks, so here's the breakdown right now. Alabama is in first place, and, of course, they'll have the double bye in the SEC. They're probably going to be a number 1 seed for sure. Then Texas A&M has locked up a double bye for the SEC tournament, and they're going to have a real nice position for the NCAA. We will, too. We have not locked up a double bye, is my understanding. We're tied for third with Kentucky. Kentucky would get the tiebreak because they won both dadgum games.
Yeah.
Even though our record's better, they beat us both times. Then we got Missouri and Vanderbilt, and I think we went 1-1 with those guys. So we need to win this game, too, to ensure the double bye. We still may get it, but I would prefer to beat Auburn. I want to beat Auburn at Auburn bad. I just really do.
We just need to beat them anyway.
We need to beat them, but they're tough in the jungle. I'm telling you, that place is a brutally tough place to play. It only holds like 10 or 11,000 people, but they're on top of you, and they're losing their minds, and they love to play Tennessee. And you've got the Bruce Pearl connection.
Oh, yeah. That's like Kiffin. And
it is like Kiffin, but it's not as bad because we're not mad at Kiffin. I mean, we're not mad at Pearl.
No, we're not. We don't hate Pearl. We hate Kiffin.
Yeah, Kiffin sucks. He just sucks.
That's right, it sucks.
He's well, I can't say on YouTube how I really feel about Kiffin, but yeah, I don't feel anywhere near like that about Pearl as I do Kiffin.
Yeah, Kiffin's the guy you love to hate.
Yeah.
Whereas Pearl, you almost feel bad about what happened because it was over a barbecue sandwich. He lied about a stupid barbecue sandwich. It's like, Bruce, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm he didn't want to leave. He was forced to leave.
No, he'd love to still be back here. I guarantee it.
Whereas Kiffin left in the middle of the night and skulked out, which is the proper term, skulking.
Yeah.
And ran off to the West Coast. And I don't know, maybe his wife put him up to it, but he's regretted it ever since. Of course, it put us down in a downward spiral because we wound up with that knucklehead from Louisiana we hired who
Dooley.
Dooley. Slipping up a holler, Dooley, trying to make $1. Dooley, give me a swallow, pay you back someday.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dooley, and then we just Butch Jones and Jeremy Pruitt, and am I leaving anybody out?
I think that's enough.
Yeah.
That's 15 years in the wilderness.
That's who's who of brutal,
of terrible hires. So.
Yeah, unfortunately, but we did wind up with Josh Heupel, and everybody's happy with him. That's for sure. I don't think there's anybody unhappy with that hire.
No, I think that's turned out to be an outstanding hire.
Yeah, definitely. So we've got that going on, and that'll be Saturday, and Auburn's going to be out for blood. Yep. I'm telling you, they have to have this victory. They must have it in order to ensure their NCAA bid because that'll get them to 20 wins, and beating us will be a really good feather in their cap.
Yep.
The fact they played Bama well will help them a little bit, but look, they needed that win. They had them, and they would have beat them at their own house, which would have been huge.
Well, go back to the when we beat them at home earlier in the season, and it was on the controversial ending call. That was a controversy because it was controversial.
Oh, what are you talking about where we supposedly fouled the guy?
Yeah, where
good grief.
Our guy stood straight up, put his hands up in the air. Their player ran into him, but somehow that was the most blatant foul on our part in human history.
Because anytime somebody shoots a three, if anybody's within 2 feet of them, they collapse.
Yeah.
And they actually have a penalty for that now.
He draws the foul.
Now, I don't think that was one where he was totally faking or anything, but they had to put a penalty out because every time somebody's within 2 feet of a man while he shoots his three, he does the whole where he falls all over the place like somebody hit him with a 2x4.
Yeah, that was basically the lead story after the game on ESPN was Tennessee totally cheats.
And, we are the most unlucky team almost in the entire country. They have a ranking on KenPom where it's called luck. We are ranked 311th. Now, and that's easy to understand when you've had 2 Hail Marys go in on you in 2 games in a row, which was Vanderbilt and Missouri, both games that we had locked up and just somehow lost.
Yeah.
So we have been very unfortunate this year, but hey, we've still got 22 wins. We're still ranked in the top 11.
Yeah.
And we're coming off 2 nice victories, and one of them was just an absolute butt kicking of South Carolina. And then we handled Arkansas, which is a quality club, and whooped up on them. Let's see where they're ranked here.
Yeah,
Arkansas was 19-11, 8-9. Not too shabby.
But yeah, they were not a chump coming in. I mean, it wasn't like Vandy or somebody like that. But we handled them pretty well. And I was surprised after Ziegler went down that we handled that well.
No, I didn't expect that at all. We played well. I was really pleased to have Triple J back for 2 games in a row now. Yeah. He's going to be a key guy. And also,
we're a different team with him on the
absolutely.
court.
He's the glue. I've been saying that for a long time. That guy is really important to our club. He doesn't do one thing the best. He just does everything well.
Yeah.
And he's a very calming effect, and he hits his free throws. If you foul that dude, he's going to hit his free throws.
I think that's probably where we'll miss Ziegler the most.
Yeah, Ziegler's a great free throw shooter too. Now we do have Phillips back in the lineup. He's a great free throw shooter. He's a great scorer. And he's 6'8", and let me tell you something. They have to really watch him. You know, even if he only scores 6 or 8 points, understand there's a lot of attention that goes to him because he's a scary athlete at 6'8", and he can put 10 or 20 points on you pretty quick.
Well, he's an extra guy you have to account for.
Exactly, very much so. That's not a guy that you'd better take your eye off of.
No.
So they're always got one of their best defenders on him, and then there's always another guy kind of watching him.
Yeah.
So that's another reason I like having him in there. Plus, he hits his free throws at the end of the game,
which is kind of important.
Yeah, pretty critical. All right, now recruiting-wise, Tennessee had a great recruiting month in February, which is usually a really slow month. We were ranked number 1 on 3 as far as best team for February. I believe Georgia was number 2. We picked up 3 4-stars. 2 4-stars that month, including J.J. Harrell, who we just picked up the other day.
Real good wide receiver.
Look, he's a high 4-star, top 100 player, and everybody in the SEC wanted him, and we got him. So you can see the momentum is pulling in our direction, coming off that 11-2.
Well, everybody knows, especially if you're an offensive player, you want to come to Offense U. I mean, that's what we are. That fast-paced offense, prolific scoring, prolific yardage. That's what you want to be a part of, and winning.
I'm sorry, winning. You starting to get the concept now? Oops, winning.
Well, when you get that Biletnikoff Award winner, that's a really good selling point of going, this is a guy that was sort of forgotten, who was Hyatt. A lot of people are wondering, when's he ever going to show up? Next thing you know, he wants a Biletnikoff. That's a huge calling card and selling point to a wide receiver that, look, this guy was unknown, and now he's getting ready to sign a $20, $30 million contract for about the next 4 or 5 years. So you might want to come here. Number 1 offense in the country. In the last 7 years that Heupel's had an offense, it's been in the top 10.
Well, who was Hendon Hooker before Heupel got him?
That's true. That's true.
He was on nobody's radar.
Now he's going to be probably a top 2nd round, late 1st round guy who, had he not gotten hurt, would have definitely been a 1st round pick.
Yeah.
Might have won the Heisman.
Yeah.
So
should have gone to New York. Well, that's another thing to talk about, our luck.
Well, it is what it is. But fortunately we did have Joe Milton to take over and take care of Vanderbilt very easily. And then he played a really solid game against Clemson. Yep. And the only positive that came out of that was that we got to see Milton under pressure in a big game, and he looked pretty darn good. I'm going to tell you what, he threw some dimes.
And when the lights were hottest and brightest on him, he stepped up and he delivered, which I was surprised about, and I know you were too.
I was on the fence, and I was leaning towards not being on his side, and then he went out there and played that game and totally redeemed himself.
And totally redeem yourself!
All right, I'm just kidding, but no, I'm very pleased for Joe Milton. He's a guy that's easy to root for because he stuck with the team. Yeah. He stuck with his buddy, and I would have left. You probably would have left, but he did not. And now he looks like he's got an opportunity to enjoy the riches, so to speak, of sticking with a program that I think he realized this was a good fit for him, and Coach Heupel was a good fit for him, and that offense was just right. And he decided, you know what? I like it here. And I'm just going to stick with it, even though he probably could have gone somewhere else and played at a smaller school. I think he saw the forest for the trees.
Well, that's it. I mean, he kind of got benched at Michigan.
He did get benched at Michigan. Yeah. He did get benched at UT.
Yeah, and hung in there and got instructed, got coached up.
And won the MVP.
And won the MVP of the Orange Bowl.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a pretty good story.
Comes back off the bench and becomes the MVP of the Orange Bowl.
So hopefully he has a great year.
Never happened.
I know, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a great story. And I think everybody's happy for him and the Vols. That was such a great victory. We needed that.
Bad.
And 11-2, win the Orange Bowl, and and then just have that momentum going into recruiting. And we need to finish in the top 5 in recruiting this year. It's time to make that move. We got into the top 10 this year for the first time in a while, and now we need to move into the top 5. And we're getting there. We got four stars already out of 5, so that's a pretty good start to this recruiting class.
I agree, and recruiting's everything with college football, and I think they've done an outstanding job so far. Hopefully that'll continue.
Yeah. Yeah. So things are definitely looking good. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. Our football team at one point was number 1 in the country. Our basketball team reached number 2 in the country, and our baseball team lived in the number 1 position all last year and is number 2 right now. So when it comes to coaching and our teams, we're in probably as good a shape as any club out there, just about.
Oh yeah, and our 3 or certainly our 2 main sports, we are a top tier team. And that is huge. That's huge for everything. Living at, I live in Knoxville. Everybody's happy in Knoxville. You go out to eat, all the restaurants are packed, all the bars are packed. Everybody's watching baseball. They're watching basketball. They were watching football when it was going. And it just makes life better in the whole city there.
Yeah, definitely. And it's funny. One of the things that I'm going to start doing occasionally on this channel is I live up in Pigeon Forge, and I know a lot of you folks visit Pigeon Forge on vacation, probably most of you. And I thought, food's kind of a big deal to me. It is to my brother as well. He's actually got his own food channel on YouTube called what's the name of it again, Wilmot?
Backyard Smoking and Grilling with Will.
It's kind of long-winded, so sometimes I forget it, but I help him with the editing on it, and he's done some cool videos. Y'all ought to check that out. But anyway, we went and had lunch today, but one of my favorite places to eat up here is a place called the Pottery House. Now, this is not a paid sponsorship or anything like that. I have to tell you that up front because YouTube, if you're getting paid for a commercial or something, you have to acknowledge that. This is not a paid sponsorship commercial. But the Pottery House is probably one of my absolute favorite places to eat up here, and I'm putting some pictures up in front of me right now, and you can see the plates that I had, my mother had, and I didn't get a picture of Wilmot's because he'd already dug into it.
It looked amazing, and it tasted amazing.
Yeah, the Pottery House is an awesome place. If you're ever up here in Pigeon Forge on vacation, check out the Pottery House because I'm telling you, it is one of the nicest places to eat lunch, and it's very unique, and it's kind of quaint, and it's just got an old-fashioned feel, but the food quality is super high, and they've got very good service. And
part of the Old Mill complex there.
Part of the Old Mill, and the Old Mill has that big restaurant up there that's just everybody loves it. But for some reason, and I like the Old Mill too, it's great. But the Pottery House really suits me. Something about it, I enjoy it.
Yeah, a little more upscale, but really nice and great food, great service.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. So anyway, that's just something I'm going to start doing occasionally when I eat at a place that I think you folks might like. That's just something I'm going to throw into the channel from time to time just for fun of it.
Yeah.
All right, folks, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Let's be able to continue to cover the Vols and all that good stuff. And I'm going to attach a video of my brother's, let's put your prime rib video. If you folks ever want to know how to do a smoked prime rib, he's got a great little video. I'm going to attach it onto the back of this, and you'll see it on the screen. You can hit that if you want to check it out, my brother's channel. Anyway, if you have not subscribed, it's right here on the left. Be sure to check that out. You just hit that little button, costs you nothing. It'll be right in front of him.
Okay.
And it helps me out. And right here is my most recent video. Be sure to check that out. YouTube thinks you'll like it. And I hope you did like the content. And we will see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.